Today we'll be looking at leadership and management. Now, why do I want us to focus on this for today? It's majorly because the foundation to the success of any company is in the leadership and in the management of the company. If you can get these two right, it will be very, very easy for you to run a successful company. One of the things I like about what we are doing currently is the investment that your MD is doing in the management structure of the company. And it's also about us understanding that these are critical changes that we need to make. Now, so if you look at the average Nigerian business, especially the Igbo man's business, you find out that a key factor that is missing is, or rather most times, you see the business growing, it gets to a point, it plateaus. And before you know it, it starts to go down. I remember a lot of my cousins, my uncles then, especially in Makurdi then, that were doing very well. And in fact, they were owning branches when they were starting. Along the line, one day, it just seems as if their business just hit a bricks. And before you know it, it started to go down. And I know some of them today who can barely feed their family. And asking myself, what are the major things that happened? Leadership and management. And the key thing was that when they started, they could lead their corporation, their company. But when it got to a stage, it's more like a three-leg chair can support you. But there's a particular weight you start to add that you must need more legs for that same chair to carry you. Now, most people fail to realize that their business has gotten to a point where they need to add more support system to it, which means bringing in more management structure. Let me give you an instance. There was one of our clients in the East. When we came in, all his accounts records were being kept by his sales girls. Now, this guy, every time you see him, is sweating because he's looking for money. And you're looking at his turnover that runs into billion, and you're wondering, how is this guy not be able to fund most of his transactions? And when we looked at it, what we did now was we employed one of his first management person, which was an accountant. And when we got here, what we realized was that though he was paying one of his girls 20,000, but when we started to take record, the girl could not even account for close to about 3 to 4 million within a space of about 3 months. Because we brought the record, okay, this money, this debt, has it been collected? No. Or he said, oh yes, he has collected. Okay, don't you remember that I gave it to you about 2 months ago? Because there was no system in place to track the financial movement, money was leaking out of the system. And the average Nigerian business is having that huge challenge. Because when they don't have the structures to ensure financial stability, to ensure that their sales, there's a system that supports the growth of sales in that company. Once it goes beyond the idea of the business owner, the next thing that starts to do is the business to go down. Which is why for us, management is very, very important. And unfortunately, what we have in Nigeria is because management is actually different from leadership. Management is whereby you say, okay, this is what we want to achieve. And you are managing the process towards achieving that. Leadership is ensuring that everybody is focused towards achieving that particular goal and actually exceeding it. Unfortunately, what we have in Nigeria is managing leadership. And what does that mean? You find out that because the Nigerian small business is such that everybody looks to the business owner, it means that everybody is just trying to please the business owner and do what the person wants, irrespective of whether it's for the good and health of the company. Which means we are trying to manage the leadership of the company and not manage the company's success and progress. Which is why we actually need to ask ourselves, in this company, are all our activities focused on the growth, achieving the strategic objective of this company? Or are we just trying to make the MD happy with us? There's one of our big clients. Anytime the MD is around, some of the clients, some of the staffs will go home by 10 p.m. Nobody's asking them to stay behind them. You just see everybody running around, but any day he doesn't come, 5:30, most of them have disappeared. And what they are doing is managing leadership. Everybody is interested in, how do I place this guy so that I'm not in his bad book? And he's not looking at, okay, these are the strategic objectives of the company. Last week, one of our biggest clients, I had an issue with him. I had almost had a quarrel with him because we said, okay, these are the things we want to achieve in the company. And I said, guy, these are the things that we need to do for a company to achieve this goal. He said, no, this is what I wanted. I insisted. Now, the funny thing was that I had a meeting with his management team, and everybody agreed that this is what we needed to do. But when it got to the point of, okay, let's now focus on convincing the MD that this is what we want to do, everybody stepped back. So it's important for us to realize that if this company has to grow, the company has to be superior to the management, to the leadership of the company. Means that we need to say, for the next 5 years, this is what we want to achieve. And when we said that and everybody agrees and the MD buys into it and we say, okay, this is what we want to achieve in the next 5 years, it means that at that particular point, once it's signed off, that takes priority over the interest of the managing director. Because, for instance, the managing director might decide, okay, man, this year I need to buy Lexus 570. But as at that time that he's saying that maybe the value of the Lexus 570 might be equivalent to 2 containers of what people sell. And your goal might be for the year we want to do 10, I want to do 100. But at the point he wants to pull out the money, maybe you have just done about 50% of the thing. Somebody needs to stand and say, bros, leave this thing till the end of the year. If you pull out these resources from the company and we invest in this, we will be way off our target. It means that for you guys to actually achieve what you want to achieve, you, the management team, must learn to stand up to your managing director. Which means if you people have said that in the next 5 years we want to start to do turnover of 10 billion per year, meaning that by 2024, you said that the minimum we'll be doing should be between 10 to 20 billion. Then it means when he starts to take certain decisions, somebody should tell him, MD, this is not in the best interest of the company. If we don't get to the level where we can actually get the MD to defend his decisions, then it will be a huge challenge for us to achieve the goals that we want to achieve. It's not about we now convincing him about where we are going. He actually needs to start to convince the management team about certain decisions. And when he starts to do it, it clarifies to him if this is in the best interest of the company. Leading management. This is the most important aspect of leadership. One of the greatest generals that ever led an army was Napoleon Bonaparte of France. And one of the things that Napoleon was known for was that he was always leading his army in battle. When they were going to war, you always see him at the head of his army. You know, there was a time I was almost having issues with your MD, which was about visit your guys in the field and visit them regularly. The more you visit them, one is that it motivates them, and their issues as they are there are decisions you can take based on what you see happening in the field. But when you are in the comfort of your office, you just make certain assumptions without knowing that your assumptions don't actually apply to what is happening in the field. For instance, people in the field might be telling your people that, but this particular product is the black color that moves the most. But you in your office, you've just visualized that, okay, what might move the most is yellow. And you are pushing yellow and you are forcing them, why are you not selling? But if you go in the field and you work with them in the field, you see certain changes that needs to be made. Most importantly too, the way you market, they will start to learn certain things. You know, yesterday I was sharing with somebody about Uche on video creation. That I knew when we started that he couldn't really do most of the things on video. But when we were going, I made him do the shooting, showed him how to do certain things on video editing. Now he's way ahead of me. And he can do that because I ensured that when I started, I showed him how to do it. When I went to do it, when there was a training, he joined me to do it. And when he saw how to do it, he could now advance beyond me. Most times, when I even see for Peter, when I see some of the way he handles this, it's almost the way I would do it, because I joined him in the field in when we were starting up. The same thing applies to anybody who wants to lead a solid management team. Toyota made a policy that if you read their book, Toyota Way, at least once every 2 months, each director must go to the field to see what is happening. They said there was a particular factory that they were having serious problem. Nobody knew what was the fault with that particular factory. And during their 2 monthly visits, one of the engineering directors just listened to the machine that they were having. They've called everybody and they could not get him. He listened to the machine, said, drain all the oil. They drained the oil. He put his hand inside it. At the bottom of the oil from the machine, brought out pieces of metal. So that anytime you start to hear this kind of noise, know that this particular part of the machine is starting to wear out. But if he's not visiting his factory floor, if he's not visiting his customer, all he will know that these people are not producing. There are certain decisions you can take as a management when you lead from the field. And most importantly too, when you are actually out there in the field, your management team will actually know that, yes, if Oga is doing this, we too need to start to do this. But if you're an office executive, everybody becomes an ex-office executive and you can't get the desired result you expect to get. Set long-term goal. We are talking about China. In the 1980s, the then Premier of China set a 25-year goal for China and said part of their goals that they wanted to dominate the export market of the world. And they set out on that path. As of now, they've achieved that and they've set up another 25-year goal. If you don't set a long-term goal, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you'll just be thinking short-term, and short-term rarely achieve anything significant. So the management team of this company needs to sit down and say, okay, in the next 10 to 20 years, where do we want to be? And those working with us, who have worked with us for the next 5 to 10 years, in their personal life, what would they achieve working in this company? So as you are building the corporate structure of the organization, you're also showing everybody where they will be working in this company in the next 10 to 20 years. Because the average company, everybody thinks 30 days. Meaning the salary is coming in the next 30 days. But you have created a big vision that because, okay, if I can work in this place in the next 2, 3, 5, 10 years, I'm very sure that I'll achieve ABCD based on the way this company is structured. But if you don't have that clear design structure of this is the big goal for the company and people working in it, this is how you fit in. Everybody will be looking for the next job. There's a pharmacy, one of the big pharmacies that we're working with, and he wanted to know how to retain his pharmacies. One of the things I said, see, tell your staff, if you work here for the next 5 years, next 3 years, you are entitled to a car loan. And with a car loan, the company will be paying this percentage of that car loan for you. And what he made was that the staff working there were looking to work at least a minimum of 3 years. Because they know after that one, this company will fund this for us. And not only will they give us a loan to buy it, they will also help us in paying off the loan. People need to see a solid future in the company for themselves. That's how you get long-term staff. If I'm working in a place and I can't see in the next 5 to 10 years what I desire for myself can be achieved in this thing, the minimum I will be doing is salary is the next 30 days. What are the other opportunities out there for me? The next one is having a working template for action. It's about sitting down and say, okay, and this is where we are going to in the next 10 years. And this is the roadmap we want to follow. China just recently launched their Silk Road roadmap, which means the certain countries they want to connect by rail, by road, and by pipeline, so that their products can very fast and speedily get to these countries. It means that if we decide that in the next 10 years, next 25 years, we are looking at an asset base of about 100 billion, for instance. This guy is in First Bank, so I'm discussing with him, and he leads their strategic planning team. I said that what First Bank does that they do their own now. They have a 25-year plan, but they break it in phases of 3 years. That's every 3 years, they draw up of a plan of what they're going to achieve majorly in the next 3 years. That the first phase of 3 years is ending this year. And they've started massive brainstorming for the next 3 years. So for us, we also need to ask ourselves, what are our 10 years, 20 years growth? I will not say in phases, 3 years, 5 years, how do we want to get there? And this will actually guide us in the investments that we are making. Like I shared with you, at Counselor, our own is in the next 4 years, setting up something in Asaba. And like I told you, after we finish our Lagos campus, there's no other structure we are doing anywhere apart from doing the Asaba campus. So you also need to sit down and say, okay, if in the next 5 years, this is what we achieve, it means that, okay, what are the resources we need to achieve it? So you need to have a clear roadmap. For us to do this, we need 10 marketers, we need to get an internal auditor, we need to get a HR manager, we need to have weekly business and visitation. We need to split our territory into this and this territory. We need to have regional manager, we need to have state manager, we need to have national sales manager. So we actually need to have a clear roadmap towards that, which is where a lot of companies miss it. And then finally, the fundamentals is knowledge, expertise, and influence. I always ask people, like, they say the fundamental factors that drive success his knowledge, expertise of the people there, the ability to influence. And I asked the average person, get me your product, explain the details of your product to me. And most people can't actually explain the details of their product. What is this product made up of? How is this product used? What are the things that makes this thing to change color? What are the components of water that affects this thing? Let me give you an instance. I was working with an engineer on a site he was working with. I said that he can't use, based on the work they want to do, they can't use the water from the borehole to do the job. I said, why? He said, because the kind of cement they are going to use interacts with iron, and any water that contains iron will weaken that cement based on what they are constructing. So for it to work, they need to go, and this is a place that has water, borehole, but they are buying water from outside to do the job, because this guy is knowledgeable about his industry. If a client says this thing is breaking, can you explain to him the principles that leads to its breakage? If somebody asks you, explain to me why your product is different from the other, apart from price, do you know the intricate difference between your product and the other? If your product is faulty, if they call you that this product is faulty, do you know what might likely have happened and what you can tell them to do to actually fix the problem? Are you an expert in your field? If they call you that this toilet is leaking, do you know where you ask them to go and make adjustments? Recently, early this year, I got this LG burner, and one part of it was not lighting up. I thought it was a major fault, and I called LG, and they sent their engineer. All he needed, when he came, he went to the back, turned something, and all the burners came up. Sorry? It was not in the manual. I read the manual inside out. But my question is, if your product now has something that the answer is not in your manual, do you know what to do? Your staff, do they know what to do? Your marketers that are actually interacting with these people in the field, do they know what to do? For instance, the one that Mike was saying, they were saying a product was having issues, and he said it was not the one that. It could have been something that he could have gone there and say, see, this thing is happening because this thing is being fixed like this. And most times, when you explain to the customer, he will not see that, okay, it's because of the way I've been actually fixing it that is causing this problem. But if your staff are not experts in what you are selling, there is no way they can lead the sales in the field in that place. Finally, training, orientation, and retraining. The person that just called us is somebody we did recruitment for over the weekend, and immediately he finished the recruitment, he said if he could use our office for his first training. He's actually running a product knowledge training of his new staff today. He finishes it tomorrow. He goes into practical field training with them, which means he's not about, okay, you're a marketer, these are the products, go and start to sell. He's taking one full day to give them product knowledge. He's taking another day to go with them to actually do the selling himself, so that they can see how it's done. And after that, he will now go with them again. He is dedicating between today and 19 on just training his new staff. I remember the first time, who was I? I think the guy that you went with to Mango or something. Yeah. I remember the impact you had on him just by showing him how to do the sales there. And there's nothing that gives a new staff confidence and energy to see that this thing that I'm being asked to do, it can actually be done. And also, what are your orientation process? If somebody comes here newly, what are the processes of integrating him into the company system? And after that, what are your retraining process? Which is why I say every Monday we'll come here and do it for you. You know, we do it every week in my place. And one of my staff, that's even to talk was a challenge for her, but I insisted that everybody must run 10 minutes training. So I do the training and they now do the video and I see. Last week I saw her this and I couldn't believe the quality of video training that she delivered. She can do this because we have a system of continuous training. Our own is so strict that if you don't complete a course, you don't get your salary. So every month, each staff must do a minimum of 2 weeks online course. So anybody who doesn't do that is very sure that he doesn't get a salary. So that way, everybody is forcing themselves to improve. And I can tell you that the impacts, that is why I can confidently stay at home or travel and or send them on assignment, because I know that what I'm sending them to is what I will do that they can actually do. The job of a leader is to multiply himself in his people, so that when he's there or when he's not there, his people can actually do what he would have done. Which is why Jesus told his people when he was leaving, they can actually do more than he has done. As a business leader, you need to get to a stage whereby your people can actually do much more than you are doing. And that is where regular training is very important, both on the job and in the field. And also, part of training is, okay, go and do this. As the person is doing it, you are directing the person how to do it, and not always telling somebody what to do. A lot of times I'll tell my people, go and do it. So what do I say? Go and execute. Now, if you execute and make mistakes, I'll correct you, so that you'll be forced to start to think up ideas. So I want us to actually start to make this inputs into our business. Thank you.